morning, I'm Amit Thackerell and let's begin with the top stories this hour. Relief efforts in storm-affected Bara and Parsa districts underway. Women and children mostly affected, providing temporary settlements yet to gain momentum. China's interest in extending help in Nepal's development increases, initiates process of cooperation in 15 districts sharing border with Tibet. Algeria's President Abdelaziz announces resignation after weeks of mass protest turned violent. And Manchester United's bid to finish the Premier League season in the top four takes a hit after being defeated by Wolverhampton 2-1 last night. The families affected by the severe rainstorm in Bara and Parsa districts have breathed a sigh of relief after the arrangement of temporary settlements and food. The victims were compelled to bear added difficulties earlier due to lack of even basic facilities like food and shelter. The situation has comparatively improved now as the relief from different quarters has started flowing in. The relief procedure has been recently expedited also due to repeated calls from the victims along with the media and public at large. Likewise, the security personnel of Nepal Army and Nepal Police have also been involved in the relief efforts that have led to some respite to the victims. Meanwhile, the makeshift tents, however, have yet to be arranged in some of the places affected by the storm. Children, elderly, women and people with illnesses have mostly been affected as it has taken time to clear the debris from the disaster sites. The storm has led to the destruction of hundreds of houses in Bara and Parsa districts. Most of the victims were compelled to spend the night under open sky right after the disaster took place due to the lack of immediate shelter. Almost all bits and pieces along with stocked food items were destroyed along with the destruction of the houses. The construction of adequate temporary shelters and arrangement of all basic necessities like food and clothes, however, are necessary for the victims to go about their daily lives at least for some weeks. Feta rural municipality is one among the worst affected regions in Bara by Sunday evening's devastating rainstorm. We have a field report from our colleague Prarambha Dahal in this regard.
Compelled to take shelter and refuge in the open space. It has not been long since they received the shelters, temporary shelters in aid from different entities. And you can see the families with the babies compelled to take refuge under the temporary shelters. It absolutely is scorching hot, and we can only imagine the plight the victims are having to go through, especially the babies, the kids, children, and those in their elder age. The senior citizens, they've been the worst affected. And you can see with the support from different local levels as well, the victims have been waiting to have their food. We can see women in groups, especially the children who've been hungry. We've spoken to many of them. This is the situation right here, and the shortage of drinking water is very saddening plight out here right now. As we see it, the level of sanitation, which is poorly maintained right now, has a serious risk of a lot of diseases and ailments being caused. So it's an appeal not just from the locals but also from our side for the related stakeholders to make serious efforts in this concern. And as you can see, the children are just eating anything. Sanitation wise, the place is quite poorly maintained, so this aspect has to be addressed by whoever comes in. And what we've seen is whenever any relief comes in from police or army or any other department, people reach out to those relief centers and then they just grab anything they get. So that is the situation out here. The relief and goods also are not being well managed. That one side we are very quite familiar with, because we also saw the same situation during the time of the earthquake. And the other thing that locals are quite concerned about is, as you can see, the shelters are, in fact, their homes are torn down. They're quite concerned if they're going to get the timely resettlement and the rehabilitation measures that has been assured by different government entities, from the provincial government to the central government, from different political entities, and even corporations. So they're still waiting to see how that heads. And obviously, you can see in the faces of the children and women, especially, that the blight is quite serious.
Although the government has put forth strategy to alleviate the disaster-induced consequences, providing relief and arrangement of temporary shelters for victims even when it comes to dealing with natural disaster in a limited geographical region has continued to be difficult. Like the challenges recently being faced in the relief operation after the storm-induced casualties in Para and Parsa districts. The efforts with regard to advanced preparation and disaster management has remained a challenge due to the failure in learning lessons from the April 2015 earthquake, along with floods and landslides that occur during every rainy season. The concerned authorities and the security mechanisms did a good job during the rescue of the victims affected by Sunday's devastating rainstorm. Providing relief to the victims and the rehabilitation, however, has remained sluggish. The government has formulated a provision to manage natural disasters such as floods, landslides, lightning, fire and earthquakes that occur almost on a frequent basis in the country. However, the same provision failed to be effectively implemented by disaster management in the storm-affected regions of Para and Parsa. The incident has also unveiled the ineffectiveness of the advanced information system so as to avert or alleviate the negative impacts of such natural disasters. Welcome back after the break. China's interest in extending help in Nepal's development has been increasing. China has started the process of cooperation in the 15 districts that share border with Tibet. India has been extending help in the Tarai region and hilly regions from the long time last in areas of education, health, roads, among others. However, China has now started efforts in extending cooperation through China International Development Cooperation Agency, CIDCA, in areas of education, health and roads in the 15 districts sharing border with China. The government of Nepal has already accepted the proposal put forth by the Chinese agency CIDCA to extend cooperation in the development efforts of the 15 districts. The CIDCA team has already met Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli and other high government officials in order to implement the proposal to extend cooperation. Preparations are being made at the local levels of the 15 districts regarding the Chinese assistance. Ward number 8 of Sirizunga Rural Municipality is the last of the wards in Taplejung. The ward is also the base camp for Mount Kanchenjunga and shares its border with India. However, despite its tourism values, the locals in this ward have been facing difficulty as the ward secretary is mostly absent from the ward office. And in this contest, we had asked the locals and public officials of the ward what problems have they been facing due to the absence of the ward secretary. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public voice.
जन्म दर्ता मृत्युका कुराहरू बसाइसरेका कुराहरू यी कुराहरू गर्न गराउनको लागि चाहिँ मुख्य गरेर चाहिँ असर परेको अवस्था छ।
एउटा सिफारिस दिनको लागि भनेको धेरै बेर नलाग्ने हो तर भनेको उहाँ जिल्लासम्म पुग्नु पर्दा तेल्लोसम्म पुग्नु पर्दाखेरि जनतालाई मर्का चाहिँ परेकै देखिन्छ।
प्रतिनिधिहरू छन् तर जुन कुराहरू तयार गर्ने त वडा सचिवले नै गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। वडा सचिवको अनुपस्थितिमा अब सचिव नै छैन खै हामीले कुन काम गर्ने नगर्ने भन्नुहुन्छ जनप्रतिनिधिहरू।
गाउँ कार्यपालिकाको बैठकमा समयमा आवाजहरू उठिरहेको अवस्था छ र सकेसम्म यसलाई चाँडोभन्दा चाँडो चाहिँ समाधान गर्ने तिर हामी लागेका छौँ।
कुनै पनि कर्मचारीहरू चाहिँ करारमा नियुक्ति गर्ने अधिकार नदिएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि हामीले चाहिँ पर्खेर हेर आउँछ भनेर हामीले चाहिँ पर्खेर बस्नुको बाहेक विकल्प छैन।
It's now time for our segment, Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And the question is, why is the government preparing to appoint teachers in community schools on contract basis again? And options are a chance to take in cadets, the continuity of old practice and C to avoid disturbances in the studies. The voting is on. Type in your select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Now the sports update.
Sports news.
Manchester United's bid to finish the Premier League season in the top four took a hit on Tuesday as the Red Devils were beaten by Wolverhampton Wanderers at Molineux. A Chris Smalling own goal put the final 2-1 score on the board. Scott McTominay scored his first ever Premier League goal in the first half, courtesy of a good strike from outside the box. The race for the top four is reaching fever pitch, while 7th-placed Wolves are one of 3 teams in a tight tussle to clinch the last European qualification spot. Fulham, meanwhile, will make a quick return to the second-tier championship after they were hammered 4-1 at Watford in another EPL match played last night. The defeat left Fulham, who won promotion a year ago, 16 points from safety with 5 games remaining. India's superstar captain Virat Kohli admitted that Royal Challengers Bangalore's IPL fate looks really bad after his side crashed to their 4th straight defeat. England's Josh Butler made 59 and Rahul Tripathi hit the winning runs with a 6 from the penultimate ball as Rajasthan Royals made 164-3 to secure the first win of the season by 7 wickets. While India topped the Test rankings and Kohli is the leading batsman, he has become increasingly frustrated at his side's Indian Premier League performances. He has never won the IPL title and Bangalore are now rock bottom in the 8-team league, the only outfit without a win. Luis Suarez produced an astounding half volley to earn La Liga champions Barcelona an unforgettable 4-all draw and break the hearts of relegation threatened Villarreal. Lionel Messi, Ivan Rakitic and Gerard Piqué all started from the bench as the holders looked to manage a frantic fixture list. Head coach Ernesto Valverde's calculated gamble appeared to have paid off when Brazilian winger Malcolm teed up countryman Philippe Coutinho for a tap-in, and then the former headed home to make it 2-0 by 16 minutes. And that's all for this hour. Keep watching Kantipur Television SD for more news and entertainment. Have a good day.